Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Coding Kaiju. My name is Diego. Once again, we're going to pick up right where we left off. In this video, we're going to be adding what's sometimes referred to as juice. In game development, juice refers to the small details, the polish that makes a game feel fun to play. An easy example of that is screen shake, and that's what we're going to do in this video. But adding screen shake is pointless if there's nothing to shake. So the first thing we're going to do is add a background. Make sure you have the game scene open. And we're going to add a new node. And it's going to be a sprite node. Go ahead and rename that to background. Control S to save. All right, this next part is very important. We're going to take our background node and we're going to drag it up so that it's the first child under this game node. And the reason we're doing this is so that the background node is the furthest back layer in our game, so that nothing else in our game gets hidden behind the background. Basically, every child you add is placed on top in the 2D view. So our player will be on top of our background. All right, so go ahead and select the background and let's load in a texture. Assets, images, backgrounds. All right, as usual, you can choose whichever one you want. I'm just gonna use dark purple. Go ahead and open that. All right, let's go over here to the sprite's properties. And here in the offset section, we want to uncheck centered so that its origin is in the upper left here. So here, obviously, our image we're using isn't taking up the entire viewport. What you could do is, drag it out so that it fits, but as you can see, it makes the stars and the details all pixelated, so we don't want that. Control Z to undo. So what we're going to do is have our background tile. And in order to make the background tile, the first thing I'm going to do is change the import settings. Go over here into the file system and select the image that you chose. Go over here to the import tab. And first I'm going to use the 2D pixel preset. And then right here under flags, we want repeat to be enabled. And don't forget to hit the re-import button. So far nothing changed. Nothing has changed. So we need to go over here to the region property. We need to go ahead and enable that. This region property defines the region, basically, that texture is going to take up. Defined by these rectangular coordinates. We want this width and height to match our viewport. And just in case you forgot what resolution your viewport was, you can go over here to the project settings, scroll down to display window. And right here, this width and height property is the resolution of the viewport. So mine is 1280 by 720. So setting this region to exactly match our resolution would probably be fine in many games. I'm going to save us a headache in the future. What we're actually going to do is make this a little bit bigger than our game's resolution. And I'm going to choose a 20 pixels bigger. So the width is 1280, so I'm actually going to do 1300. And our working resolution is 720, so I'm actually going to make it 740. 20 pixels bigger in both directions. And then after that, we're going to go over here to the offset, and we're going to change the offset to -10 on both the X and the Y. And basically what this has done is it's created an overlap of 10 pixels on each edge of our screen. And the reason I'm doing this is because when we add the screen shake is going to move this background. And if we had to match the viewport exactly, we would have seen this gray, this default gray background on the edges as the screen shakes. But with this overlap, you'll only see the purple background, the one we want the player to see. Okay, now that we have a background implemented, something for our screen shake to actually show shaking, we're ready to add some screen shake. So there's lots of ways to do screen shake. However, my favorite way I've found is actually a node built by the YouTuber Game Endeavor. He made a really elegant node that you can easily customize and use. And I'm actually going to link his video on it in the description. So go ahead and watch that if you want to learn how the screen shake code works. All right, so to make a screen shake node, make sure you have the game scene opened up and select the game node. And we're going to add a new node of type, just the regular node. And go ahead and rename that to screen shake. Control S to save, and we're actually gonna save this as its own scene in the common folder. And let's go ahead and open up that scene by clicking this movie clapper icon. Now we're gonna add a new node of type tween. And we're gonna rename that to shake tween. And then make sure to select the screen shake node again. I'm going to add a node of type timer. And we're going to rename that to frequency. Then once again, another timer. And this one will be called duration. All right, let's go ahead and add a script to our screen shake node. Okay, so like I said before, this code, the screen shake node, was built by the YouTuber Game Endeavor. And so the code he's written, I've put on my website. It should link directly to it, but in case it doesn't, you want to scroll down here to the table of contents and go to the screen shake section. And it's this big chunk of code right here. That's what you want to copy. Go ahead and copy that. Make sure you don't have the extends node line twice at the top. And then Control S to save. So before this will work, we gotta hook up the signals. So go ahead and select our frequency timer here and go to the signals. Want to connect the timeout signal to the root screen shake node. That'll generate a new function for us. And for this, we want to call the new shake function. And we want to do a similar thing for our duration timer. Double click the timeout signal, connect it to the screen shake node. On duration timeout, we're going to call the reset function. And then we're going to reference the frequency timer and tell it to stop. All right, that should be it. So the way to use the screen shake node is to put it as a direct child of a camera node. Let's go ahead and open up the game scene. So Godot always implements a default viewport node that's actually above this root one. So go ahead and select the root game node here. We're going to add a new node of type camera 2D. I'm going to create that. I'm going to rename this to main camera. And we're going to drag this screen shake node and make it a child of that main camera node. And then just for organization's sake, we're going to save this as its own scene. And you want to save it in the entities folder. since it's an object in our game, but the player cannot see it. Go ahead and save it there, and then Control S to save the project. Okay, so let me scroll out here a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but this right here, this boundary is the view of our camera we just added. But this is our game, so we gotta fix. So in order to fix this, make sure you have the main camera node selected and go over back to the inspector. And we're gonna change the anchor mode to fixed top left. And then that makes it align perfectly with our game. And it's also really important, we all want to set the current property to on. That tells Godot that we want to display the view of this camera. This is the current camera we should be displaying to the player's screen. Okay, now let's open up the main camera scene, and we're going to attach a script to it. And what the script is going to be, we're going to define some functions that call this screen shake node with some preset values, so that when certain events happen on our game, the player sees, a certain intensity of screen shake, for example. So the first thing we're going to do it for is when a player shoots a laser. So go ahead and open up the game scene again, and then go to the player node here, and then click that script to open it up. And what we're going to do here is define our own custom signal. So instead of using one of these preset ones that Godot, defines by default because, it's a node or it's a collision object 2D, we're going to define our own. Open up that script, and we're going to do it at the top here. And I'm actually going to do it right below this constant. I'm going to say signal. I'm going to call it laser shoot, because we're going to emit the signal whenever the player shoots a laser. So make sure you have this player node selected, and then we can see our new signal that we just defined right here. Go ahead, double click that. I'm going to attach it to the main camera node. Go ahead and connect it. So we now have our new function defined on player laser shoot. And we're going to reference the child node, the screen shake node. I'm going to call the start function, and we're going to give it the values of 0.1, 15, 4, and 0. And like I said before, if you want what these values are explained, go ahead and watch Game Endeavor's video. This preset will give a nice small screen shake effect for us. Obviously, feel free to experiment with your own values. Okay, so before this will actually work, there's one more critical step we have to do. Go back to the player script. So we define this laser shoot signal, but now we actually have to emit it somewhere. So this is where we're going to emit it. If you remember, we defined this action shoot, and then this is where all the code is to handle when a player shoots a laser. So right under here, we're going to emit the signal using the emit signal function, and then in quotes, laser underscore shoot. And we're going to emit this signal to all the nodes that are listening to it. Now let's go ahead and try running the project. So the effect is pretty subtle, but there's a very slight screen shake whenever we shoot a laser. Okay, next we want to do the same thing for our asteroids. Go ahead and open up the asteroid scene. And let's define a new signal at the top. Signal explode. and we're going to emit it after an asteroid explodes. We're going to do after this is exploded check so that it doesn't get called twice. Emit signal, explode. Okay, now we have to connect this signal to our main camera. And we're actually going to do that in the ready function. The ready function is a built-in function in Godot, so underscore ready, tab to autocomplete. And first we have to reference our main camera in the scene tree. So we do var, name our variable main camera, equals, and we're going to use the getNode function. And we're going to say start at the root, find the game node, and then the main camera is a direct child of that. Then we need to connect our asteroid. So we use self to reference, the asteroid can reference itself. And we'll connect the explode signal to the main camera. And in the main camera, we're going to call a function named Asteroid Exploded. So now we have to define this function, Asteroid Exploded, within the main camera node. Open up the game, go to the main camera, go to its script. And here, we'll define the function func asteroid exploded. And there we'll do another preset, screenshake.start. With these values. Now, if you wanted to, you could name this function similarly to the way this one's named, you know, with the underscore on, you know, class, and then the function or the signal name. But me personally, I like keeping any signals that I connected and defined myself separate. So here I can easily tell, oh, this was been connected through the Godot interface. I clicked around to connect this. This actually wrote the code to connect this. And that's just a visual indicator for me. But you can keep the naming convention consistent if you want. And now, just for that extra level of polish, let's do that same thing in the Asteroid small script. So go ahead under here. Let's emit that signal. Explode, since we are overriding the explode function from Asteroid. The signal itself, the explode signal, is actually defined in the original Asteroid script, so we don't need to do that again. But we do want to define a new function for that. So let's create a ready function again and overwrite that as well. It'll be very similar. Var main camera equals get underscore node / root game main camera. Connect the small asteroid. And this time we'll do asteroid small exploded. Go ahead and copy this. And now let's go back to our main camera script and define this function. All right. Now we have 3 different presets defined of how the screen will shake depending on how each of these events in our game occur. Let's go ahead and try running that. makes our laser feel so much more powerful. Alright, I think we're going to stop there. As always, leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified when the next video comes out, and as always, thanks for watching.